Let's quickly revise 9th standard ICSE Biology Chapter 3 Tissues. Tissues are a group of cells with a specific function which they can do together as a team. Now, if you have many cells which are doing a particular function, but if they're not working together as a team, like a dozen eggs together, we can't call that a tissue. Tissues work together and they form an organ. Various organs which perform a particular bodily function is called an organ system. And all the organ systems together form an organism. Let's study about plant tissues. Plant tissues are broadly classified into meristematic and permanent tissues. Meristematic tissues are alive. Permanent tissues may or may not be alive because many of them are dead. Meristematic tissues are located at the growing points of a plant, like the tip of roots and shoots. They do rapid cell division and hence help in the growth of a plant. Permanent tissues have lost the ability to divide, so they don't help in the growth of plant. They have other specialized functions. So meristematic tissue are the least specialized tissues in a plant. Their cell walls are thin because they're alive. Permanent tissues, cell walls may be thin or thick. Meristematic tissues don't have any intercellular space. They are closely packed with each other. They have large nuclei and they are quite small in size. They are of two types depending on the location. The apical or the terminal meristems, which helps in the lengthening of the tree, the shoot as well as the roots. And the lateral meristem, which is also called cambium, which helps in the increasing of the girth of the tree, the thickness of the tree. Next, permanent tissues. Meristematic tissues often mature to form the permanent tissues and then they lose the ability to divide. They are categorized into four types: protective, supportive, conducting and secretory based on their functions. Protective tissue, as the name suggests, helps in protection of parts of the plant. Their location is surface of roots, stems and leaves. Protective tissues are dead, so their cell walls are thick. Two examples we should know are the epidermis, found on leaves, and the cork cells, found under the bark of a tree. And they secrete some secretions. For example, epidermis secretes cuticle and cork cells secrete suberin. These are waterproof materials to prevent loss of water by evaporation. Next, the supportive tissues. They give support, mechanical support to the plant. It can be parenchyma, chloranchyma or sclerenchyma. Here, parenchyma is a living tissue and so is chloranchyma. But sclerenchyma is dead, so its cells are highly lignified. As you can see in the diagram, the parenchyma has thin cell walls, the chloranchyma has cell walls which are thick only at the corners, whereas in the sclerenchyma, the cell walls are very thick because there is a layer of lignin as well in them. Parenchyma have a single large vacuole. They are found in the soft parts of plants, and apart from supporting a young plant, they also store food. Certain parenchyma tissues have specialized functions. For example, if they have chloroplasts, they are called chloranchyma, and the second type is aerenchyma. So certain parenchyma tissues have air spaces in them which helps the plant leaves or the plant to float in water. So it's found in aquatic plants like the lotus. Sclerenchyma is found in two varieties: fibers and stones. Sclerenchyma fibers are visible in jute, hemp, etc. And sclerenchyma stones are visible in the stones of a fruit, like inside a pear fruit. And these stones are also called sclerades. They give mechanical support to the plant and they are very tough. Chloranchyma, they are found in leaf stalks and below the epidermis of stems, and their function is to support the plant. Now let's talk about conducting tissues. You see, supportive tissues like parenchyma, chloranchyma and sclerenchyma are made up of the same type of cells, so they are called simple tissues, whereas conducting tissues like xylem and phloem are made up of different types of cells working together as a team, so they are called complex tissues. Xylem has four types of cells, which are tracheae, xylem parenchyma and xylem sclerenchyma. The function of xylem is transportation of water and minerals from the roots to the aerial parts of the tree. So here the direction of flow is upwards. And out of the 4 types of cells I just mentioned, in the Xylem Parenchyma is alive, and the remaining 3 types of cells, which are Tracheids, Tracheae, and Xylem Sclerenchyma, also called Xylem Fibers, they're all dead. In fact, they are called wood. So you see, mostly Xylem is dead. Tracheids and Tracheae help in transportation of water. They are like pipes inside the tree. Xylem Parenchyma, since the name is Parenchyma, it gives us a hint to remember its function is storage of food, which will be useful for xylem to do its functions. And Xylem Sclerenchyma, it has lignified cell walls, so it just gives mechanical support to the xylem tissue. Every year, the plant produces a new ring of xylem around it, as you can see in this diagram. So if we could cut a slice of a tree and count the number of rings, which are called annual rings, we can estimate the age of the tree. These are called xylem rings. Also, we can see that in Tracheates, there are perforations. These perforations or holes allow the water and the minerals to pass from cell to cell without any hindrance. The next tissue is phloem. The phloem is again made up of 4 types of cells, so it's a complex tissue. The 4 types of cells are companion cells, sieve tubes, phloem parenchyma, and phloem sclerenchyma, also called phloem fibers. Now, out of these 4, 3 are alive, that is sieve tubes, companion cells, and phloem parenchyma, and only the phloem fibers, the sclerenchyma, is dead. So phloem is mostly alive. And this tissue is responsible for the translocation of food from the leaves of the plant to all other storage organs of the plant, which can be upwards or downwards. So that's how phloem is different from xylem. The phloem parenchyma is responsible for storage of food. The companion cells gives company to the sieve tubes to do its function. Sieve tubes don't have nuclei, so they will need an external support to perform their function. By the way, sieve tubes are alive. Sieve tubes have a sieve plate on top of them, and these sieve plates have perforations so that translocation can happen from cell to cell without any hindrance. Xylem and phloem tissues are found in the vascular bundles, that is the veins of the leaves. If you've seen a leaf, it has certain veins, the midrib and the veins. So xylem and phloem are found inside that. By the way, even sclerenchyma is found as a covering of these veins or vascular bundles. And finally, we have the secretory tissues, which can be hydrothode, which are certain pores on the leaves through which excess of water can ooze out. And some glandular tissues are there in plants. Again, they help in secretion of certain waste products or other secretions. But we don't have to study that in detail. 9th Standard Bio, Chapter 3, Tissues, Plants and Animal Tissues. First of all, tissues are defined as a group of similar cells performing a specific function as a team. Next paragraph cancelled. Now we have definitions of organ, organ system and organism. So many tissues together is called an organ. Examples have to be learned. Many organs together performing a specific life process is an organ system. And all the organ systems together forms an organism. Now let's talk about plant tissues, which are of 2 types, meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. We should start with this flow chart to know the summary of all the tissues of plants. Meristematic tissue are actively dividing. So they are found at all the growing points, the tip of the root and the shoot. Permanent tissue, they are non-dividing cells. They have lost the ability to divide and grow. So they are derived from meristematic tissue. They have particular shapes and permanent functions. That is why they are specialized. They are not specialized. Permanent tissues have 3 types depending on the function: protective tissue, supportive tissue, and conducting tissue. Protective and supportive are simple tissues because they are made up of same type of cells. Conducting tissues are complex because they are made up of different types of cells working together. They are also called vascular tissues. Example of protective tissue is epidermis, found on the surface of roots, stems and leaves. It is similar to skin of animals. Supportive tissue again is of 3 types: parenchyma, chloranchyma, sclerenchyma, out of which parenchyma and chloranchyma are alive, but sclerenchyma is dead. It is found in the soft parts of the plant. So it supports
the soft parts of the plant, like the young green stem, which is flexible. Chloranchyma, it's thickened on the corners because of deposition of lignin on top of the cellulose. That means it's dying. Sclerenchyma is completely thick. We will see all the diagrams soon. It has lignified cell walls. Now the complex tissue, conducting tissue, it is of two types, xylem and phloem. Xylem helps in transportation of water and minerals up the plant. It is made up of four types of cells, tracheids, vessels, Xylem Parenchyma and Xylem Fibers, out of which only Xylem Parenchyma is alive, the rest are dead. Phloem helps in conduction of food from the leaves, that is the green parts, to all parts of the plant, up and down. It is also made up of four types of cells, sieve tube, companion cells, Phloem Parenchyma and Phloem Fibers. And whenever we mention fibers, it's a type of Sclerenchyma. So out of these four, only fibers are dead, the rest are alive. So meristematic tissue is found at all the growing points of a plant. They are also found between bark and the wood of the trees. So they help in the growth in the diameter of the stem. So the stem becomes fatter, thicker, thanks to meristem. As you can see, there is no intercellular space between the cells at all. And the nuclei are also large, they're alive. The nuclei are large, but the cells are comparatively smaller, cubical in shape, cell wall is thin. Vacuoles are almost absent, and they divide and produce more meristematic tissue or permanent tissue. Now, if they are found at the apex, that is the tips, they are called apical or terminal meristem. And if they are found at the periphery, they are called lateral or cambium meristem. Now, permanent tissues, they are specialized because they have specific permanent function. So mark it as a GR. For example, protective, supporting, and conducting. These are their specific functions. Protective tissue, they are dead cells. They are made up of dead cells because they have thick cell walls. They are found on the surface of root stems and leaves. Example, epidermis and also Koch cells. These are two examples of protective tissue. By the way, epidermis produces some waxy waterproof material which is called cuticle, and Koch cells found in the barks also contain some waterproof material which is called suberin. This is extra information. Supporting tissue is of three types. Parenchyma, they are thin cell walled. They have a large vacuole. They are found in the soft parts of the plant. They may have an additional function apart from protection, supporting the plant. Apart from that, they have a function called storage of food, for example in potatoes. If the parenchyma tissue has cells which have chloroplasts, then we have a special name for such a tissue, Chloranchyma, which is different from Chlorenchyma. And of course, the function is photosynthesis. Diagrams are always important for identification and labeling. Chlorenchyma, they are alive, but their cell walls are thick at the corners because lignin deposition has started in the cell walls. They are found in leaf stalks and below the epidermis of stems, and they support the plant. Sclerenchyma are dead. They have very thick cell walls because of lignin deposition. They are found in the stems and the veins of the leaves. So they have no organelles left. They are dead. Now all these tissues are simple GR because they are made up of only one type of cells. Sclerenchyma is further classified into two types, fibers and stones. Fibers are found in plant fibers like linen, hemp, cotton, etc., from which we can make ropes, mats, and textiles. Stones are found in walnut shells or the gritty masses in the skin and the pulp of pears. They are also sclerenchyma tissue. By the way, they are called sclereids. Now, conducting tissue, they are also called vascular tissue. In the human body, we have vascular vessels, blood vessels, but they don't have blood vessels. They have vascular tissue, conducting tissue. Xylem helps in upward movement of water and minerals, not materials, minerals. That's the function. Older xylem is the wood, and they are dead, of course. By counting the number of rings in a tree, we can actually know the age of the tree. These are called xylem rings. And they made up of four types of cells. Tracheids, they are dead. They also provide mechanical support. Tracheae or xylem vessels, they help in transporting water and dissolved minerals, even they are dead. Their cell walls also have lignin. Xylem Parenchyma is the only alive cell here. So apart from transportation of water, it has an additional function, parenchyma. So remember, storage of food. These are the shapes of these cells. Notice that there are some perforations here, holes, like a sieve plate here, so that water and minerals can easily pass through it. There is no obstruction, not much obstruction from one cell to another. They join on top of each other to form a continuous tube throughout the tree, like a pipeline. Finally, we have xylem fibers, which are nothing but sclerenchyma cells along with xylem, and they provide mechanical support. They don't really help in transportation of water directly. It's dead. Phloem, they help in transportation of food. There also are 4 types. This diagram is important. So I see a sieve cell. There is a phloem parenchyma, which will store food, of course. I see a companion cell, which gives company to the sieve cell to do its function. And I see sieve plates in between, which has some perforations or holes, so forming a continuous tube through which food can pass. So sieve tubes are alive, they help in transportation. Companion cells are alive, they give company and help in the functioning of the sieve tube cells, because I can see that the sieve tube does not have a nucleus. So they need a companion cell. Phloem parenchyma, it also stores food. And phloem fibers, whenever we see the word fibers, we know it's sclerenchyma. They are dead and they provide support. So these are examples of complex tissues because they have multiple types of cells working together as a team.
Hi students, this is AJ sir. If you like this video, press the like button. If you would like to enroll for my online test series or online lectures, email me or message me on Instagram. Check the description for more information.